Hi, today we're going to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program and some findings that we found, not for or against, just what we've learned about it. What is the Paycheck Protection Program? If you are a business that is based in the United States, you have less than 500 employees, 500 employees or less, and if your business is financially affected by COVID-19, you should be eligible for the PPP loan. While this is meant for small businesses from sole proprietors to C corporations, there are restrictions and requirements that may ultimately disqualify you. Some of those were if your company is filing bankruptcy or you had you're delinquent on some loans, then they're not going to qualify you for this loan. Of course, there was a few others list that were similar to those. The following information will be only the 50 states. I have excluded Puerto Rico, Guam, District of Columbia, and the Virgin Islands. So let's get started. Here we have the United States. You also have Hawaii down here and Alaska over here, but I just wanted to focus on the mainland 50. These are the states and the amount of loans, jobs that were reported that qualified or that submitted an application for the PPP loan. So it is no surprise that New York, high populated, Florida, Texas, and California, high density, many jobs. Those were the most dense states in the mainland. Here we are in South Dakota. I think it's good to showcase that there was 102,000. I'm looking at maybe moving to Louisiana, 496,000. And I'm also looking at Ohio, maybe moving to Ohio in the near future. So they're at 1 million. Quite a few for Ohio, but no surprise as the large states that are part of high density, many jobs, that people would apply for these loans in those businesses. Here are the different types of businesses that could apply. There are the S corporation. I believe on the first thing I said C corporation, that needs to be an S. But you can see the corporation, S corporation, and a cooperative, all the different ones, and the amount that they would have in the pie to get the most amount of money. That was nice. Here we have each state, and as you can see, California has a huge number. And with this, it'll also show the type of corporation. Out of all the applicants for that state, this is how many of the applicants in that state say applied for this and they were a corporation. So I thought that was a nice breakdown. You could see which states had the larger amounts of the different types of ones. Again, California, no surprise. Florida, Texas, this should be New York, very high. And then what else did we look at? We looked at Louisiana as a whole, the corporation, and we looked at South Dakota, way down here, very tiny, not as many people, lots of farmland, no surprise. I kind of wanted to see this one. Everything highlighted in the blue are above 100,000. So each of these are the states and the number of jobs that were reported. And then this is broken down by the midpoint range for the loans. Everyone in this box is for the 250,000. Here's 1.5 million, 3.5 million, and 7.5 million. It makes sense that there are fewer over 100,000 in the 7.5 million because there's not going to be as many companies that applied for this loan. So therefore, there are not going to be as many loans distributed in that range. But everyone else has the 200K mark on their graph. So it's just kind of interesting to look at this. Again, we've got California is the highest. Most of these are fairly similar. There are a few differences, but most of the lines in the states flow together. So I just thought that was cool. Here we have the 3 states that I was looking to move to. As you can see, they are broken up by the zip code, and there are a lot of the lower end loans that were given out. Again, this is an estimated midpoint for the loan range. The data that we had had a range that was pretty large, so I just selected the midpoint for one entity. If we single out this smallest one, it pretty much covers both Ohio and Louisiana, and there's quite a few places in South Dakota. Again, the 725, there's many. Not as many in the 1.5 million range. Definitely a lot more space in all of them. 3.5 million range. Looks like there's going to be bigger corporations, bigger jobs in Louisiana and Ohio than there would be in South Dakota if I choose to stay here versus going to one of those. And the 7.5 million, definitely quite a few more zip codes that have applied for the 7.5 million in Ohio. So I think Ohio would be one of the best places to move as far as how many had the loans and that were accepted for the loans. I'm assuming that would mean that there's more companies in these 2 states versus South Dakota. So another great chart. Here we have the number of jobs reported and the lender. I wanted to look at the top lenders, so maybe we can decide if we're going to apply for a PPP loan, what bank we want to go with. So it looks like JP Morgan Chase Bank and National Association is the top lender for these PPP loans. And then we have Bank of America and Trustee Bank and PNC Bank and Key Bank. Some of these I don't recognize, so it might be whichever one would be in your state. JP Morgan and Chase Bank I have seen all over, so maybe they just have more locations. That would make more sense why they would have more applicants and or give out more, because there are more of them around. So looks like if I were to apply for one of these loans, I would go with JP Morgan and Chase. This is also another stacked line graph. I wanted to see the type of loan that each of these lenders were giving out. It makes sense that there would be not as many in the 7.5 million range as there would be in the lower range loans, but it's pretty evenly distributed among, but there are definitely a lot of the 725,000 of the loans that were given. So I think that might be a good one to go with. The other part would be what type of business applied for those loans with that bank, and it looks like the subchapter S corporation took a huge chunk, as well as a corporation. So subchapter versus corporation. But I just liked how it broke it down, and you could see the different types of businesses and how many applied and were lended to, and what banks did that. The more populated the state, the more loans will be given out, but that also comes with more competition. So if you're going to apply for a PPP loan, maybe if you applied for it in South Dakota, you're more likely to get it, as you have less competition applying for those loans there. In our class, we know of a few people that had applied for the loan and they had received it. So that's encouraging, I would say. We should all have a small business on the side in order to take advantage of this type of opportunity. Our professor said that, so I thought that was important to add to the information. So if we were to have a small business, maybe a subchapter of the S corporation, we could get a loan for the $750,000 in the loan min range with JP Morgan as a lender. Thank you for looking at this data, and maybe we'll talk more about if it's good or bad in the next couple of videos. Thank you.